Alright, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about five of my top musicals that I love. And so, for the first musical, we're going to be talking about Heathers. Now, majority of you may know Heathers because either A, you've either watched the movie when it came out, or B, you've seen Riverdale. Now, we're not going to talk about that one because that one was subpar at best. But Heathers, for those who don't know about it, is overall three girls. They're all named Heather. And then you have this one girl named Veronica Sawyer. She comes in, and because she sees them, she wants to be like them. So think of Mean Girls, think of Pretty Little Liars, and you get Heathers. Now, when you first watch Heathers, you're confused because Veronica's like, oh my gosh, they're so amazing. They're so this. I want to be them. And you look at her like, why? Like, they're terrible. They hate each other. They're catty. They're all these things that you just wouldn't want to be. And so it's pretty interesting to see her at the beginning of the movie where she's like, yeah, go Heathers. And then towards the middle, she's like, I don't really know how I feel about them. But then at the end, she's like, nah, fuck y'all. I don't want y'all. Goodbye. And so it takes her a minute to realize that because the Heathers are so popular, she gets in the mindset of, oh, they seem really cool. I should be them. But at the end, she realizes that they're as screwed up as she is, and she should just be herself overall at the end. And the movie does a really good job of representing eating disorder, bullying, sexism, all those three within an hour and 54 minutes, I believe. And if you want to watch the movie, it should be on Netflix. And I believe it's also on YouTube if you want to watch the musical. And so my top songs from the musical would have to be Candy Store. And it will also have to be Dead Girl Walking, and Freeze Your Brain will be my top three. So next, okay, so next we have Six. Six is about the six wives of King Henry VIII, and that's about England. And so you're introduced to every six wife and how they died, why they died, what they did, and why King Henry decided, oh yeah, let's just kill her because I don't want her anymore. And that seems to be a common theme with him is that whenever he found a new one, he found another reason to replace her. And so when you listen to it, it's more of a pop slash hip hop slash rock type of thing. So like there's never one set genre that the musical could fit in. And that's what I love about it is that it puts you through different emotions through each song because each of the women get their own song. So it's really interesting to hear the first wife talk about how she had to live with the other mistresses. And then she ended up getting beheaded herself by the time the fourth mistress comes. And then the very last mistress, she ends up surviving. She ends up being the last one being able to tell the story of the other wives in more of a respectable way because the way King Henry did it, of course, he's a man, and during that time, he's going to degrade the women because he thinks he's right because he's king of England. He should be able to do what he wants, do as he pleases. And it's interesting that they chose to do a play about the women and not focus on King Henry because we didn't realize just how horrendous King Henry really was to these women and how he abused them, how he manipulated them, how he used them for his own gain, and just people went with it. And so people, I guess, especially women, didn't have enough time to speak up for themselves like they do now in the 21st century, where we can have this Me Too movement and we can talk about what's wrong and why men shouldn't think like they did with back in the day, if that makes sense. And so my top tracks from six will be Get Down and Don't Lose Your Head, because those two pretty much sums up the overall arc of the story of why King Henry was so infatuated with these women, but also why he hated them so. Because they showed a part of him that he did not like and he did not want to see. And he, in his own right, killed himself every single time these women were killed because he was killing off a part of himself since he gave himself to these women. He took that part away. And that's why six is in the number two spot. Next, we will be talking about Jagged Little Pill. Next, we have Jagged Little Pill. Jagged Little Pill is about a lot of things, really. It's about rape. It's about women saying no. It's about women being heard. So really, it's more geared to the Me Too movement that went viral in 2017. That's still going viral in 2019 and early 2020. And so the first way we're introduced to it is you have this song where it's almost like a reimbursement of all the songs that we know that musicals are about. So you hear everybody's voice a part of the musical. So you have You Oughta Know, you have Predator, you have the song called No, and every song has the underlying message of women need to be heard and women need to be understood, because if women are not understood, we tend to be placed in the background and you only focus on the man and what he wants, because that's how you were raised. You're like, oh, make sure you feed him, clothe him, bathe him, do everything he tells you to do, but also don't do nothing for yourself because you don't matter. Like, that's the mindset that a lot of women grew up with. And so hearing the fact that more plays are being made for women and about women and being more encouraging and more empowering is really nice, because it's a new refresher on plays. It's a new reason why people should get into musicals, because if you don't get into musicals and if you don't understand why musicals are so important, they'll become like vinyl and CDs where not a lot of people have them, not a lot of people care. People only want what's on their phone because it's quick and simple and easy. And I feel like musicals have a very good way of structuring and layering and getting people to stay within tune and getting people to understand what they're trying to say and what their overall message is for the play that you're watching. And so I would say start off with Predator and then go off to No and then go off to You Oughta Know, because those three tracks will tell you if either A, you'll like the play, and B, it'll tell you like the overall story of what's happening in the play and why the females are so angry and why they're trying to get you to understand them. Because if you don't, you're gonna look at them like they're crazy, and that always ends up being the case anyways. Because like if a woman speaks her mind, she's insane. If she says what she has to say, she's crazy, and they end up being locked up. And we've seen history being repeated over and over and over and over again. And so this play does a really good job on nailing that in the head, which is why it's in my number 3 spot. First I am spotted across the room, sussed out for the degree of naivete when I make that cut. Alright, so my last and final play will be Mean Girls. Now, I know a lot of y'all are confused on why I called Mean Girls a play and not a movie. Well, Mean Girls started as a movie, yes, but after the movie, a lot of people, especially the theater kids, wanted a Mean Girls play because it would be so amazing. And so, years later, after the original movie, we got the play. And with this play, it has our classic, aka Regina George, versus our Katie, who comes into the quote unquote plastics, I guess. And so the play starts off with Regina George coming in, and we all remember how that entrance was when she came in from the movie. It was phenomenal, well done. The girl who plays her, I forgot her name, but she did an amazing job of portraying her, because taking that kind of energy and taking that kind of power and controlling it and having people listen to you and having people respect you in so many ways, but they're so scared of you at the same time, is amazing. And so throughout the whole story, we all know how Mean Girls goes. Mean Girls, new girl comes in, new girl takes the boy, the old girl gets mad, new girl gets hated on, new girl becomes the favorite in the end, and everyone ends up in a happy ending, because that's how movies tend to work. But for the most part, the play does a really good job on showcasing talents, showcasing the message, and showcasing that you don't need to be the mean girl to be the it girl anymore. Like, that's not a thing. Like the 90s and the early 2000s, it was a Regina, it was a Becky, it was a Rebecca, it was whoever was that girl who was always the mean one. It's not a thing anymore. Like, now it's being yourself and being more open and being more honest, because people want that. People want honesty, loyalty, and just being true. Because if you're not being true anymore, people don't want to hear that. Like they really don't want that anymore. And so like it's interesting seeing how being a mean girl is transforming to being true to yourself. Like the most popular girls now are the ones who speak out, who are helping out, who are giving their time, and who are being nice, and who are being considerate, and who are being caring, because people actually want to see that. People actually want to look up to that versus looking up to a Regina George or to Allison from Pretty Little Liars or to a Cheryl from Riverdale. And even with those four girls that I mentioned, over the years, they started being more and more cultured and getting more sweet and getting more nice and enduring. And so it's a very awesome to watch that. So that will be my top four list. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with another one. Peace.